Every single living thing, from the tiniest little plant all the way up to, well, you, it's all built from this kind of hidden fabric. And no, I'm not talking about cells. We're going one level up. We're talking about tissues. So let's dive in and figure out what they are and why they're so incredibly important for all life. Okay, so we all learn this in school, right? The cell is the basic unit of life. But think about it. A single cell can't build something as complex as a human being all by itself. No way. It needs a team. So the big question is, what's the very next step up in that hierarchy of life? And that next step? It's a tissue. I love this analogy. If an individual cell is like a single construction worker, then a tissue is the specialized crew. Like the electricians or the plumbers. They all have a similar structure, a similar function, and they work together to get one very specific, very important job done. You see, tissues are this absolutely crucial link in the whole chain of life. These crews of cells, the tissues, they team up to build organs. Think of your heart or your brain. And then, those organs work together in organ systems, like your entire circulatory system. And when you put all of those systems together, what do you get? A complete organism. You get, well, you. But here's a question for you. Are all tissues created equal? I mean, is the tissue in a giant redwood tree the same as the tissue in a cheetah? Absolutely not. They are fundamentally different. And the whole reason why comes down to one really simple thing: their lifestyle. I mean, just think about it. Plants, for the most part, are stationary. They're fixed in one spot, so their priority is structure and support, and they often use dead cells to get that rigidity. But animals, we're mobile. We need living, high-energy tissues to move around, to hunt, to think, and these totally different needs, well, they sent plant and animal tissues down two completely separate evolutionary roads. All right, so let's dive into the plant world first. How on earth do you build an organism that's just stuck in one place for its entire life, one that has to grow towards the sun and pull nutrients from the ground? Well, the answer is some seriously clever tissue architecture. Okay, so plant tissues basically break down into two main categories. First up, you've got meristematic tissues. These are the growth zones, just packed with living, actively dividing cells. Seriously, think of them as the plant's construction sites. And then you have the permanent tissues. These are the finished products, the specialized cells that have stopped dividing because they found their final permanent job. So where do you find these little growth factories? Well, they work in very specific areas. You've got the apical meristems, which are right at the very tips of the roots and the stems, and their job is to make the plant longer. Then you have others, like the lateral meristem, that make the plant wider. That's what creates tree rings. It's this incredible system that lets a plant precisely control where and how it grows. All right, so now let's talk about those permanent tissues, the ones that are done growing. Even they are divided into two groups. You've got simple tissues, which are pretty straightforward. They're made of just one type of cell. And then you've got the complex tissues, which are more like a crew of different cell types, all working together on one big task. And when we talk about complex tissues in plants, there are two you absolutely have to know. They're all about transport. You've got the xylem. That's basically the plant's plumbing system, a set of pipes that pulls water and minerals up from the roots. And then you have the phloem. Think of this as the plant's food delivery service, like Uber Eats for sugar, distributing food made in the leaves to every other part of the plant. Okay, enough about plants for now. Let's switch gears completely and jump over to the animal kingdom. And here, believe me, the story is totally different. It's all about movement, high energy needs, and super fast responses. These are tissues literally built for a life on the go. When you look at animal tissues, they're all organized into four main groups. You've got epithelial tissue, which is the covering. Then there's connective tissue, which is the supporter. You have muscular tissue, the mover. And finally, nervous tissue, the communicator. Let's just take a quick peek at each one. So first up, epithelial tissue. This is basically your body's interface with the world. I mean, your skin. That's epithelial tissue, protecting you from everything out there. But it's also on the inside, lining all of your internal organs and cavities, acting as this really important barrier. Next up is connective tissue, and honestly, this group is maybe the most diverse of them all. Its job is exactly what it sounds like, to connect, bind, and support everything else. And the category is just incredibly broad. I mean, it includes everything from hard, solid bone to flexible cartilage and even, get this, liquid tissue like your blood. That's right, I said it. Blood is technically a tissue. It's made up of this fluid matrix called plasma, and floating around in that plasma are your red blood cells carrying oxygen, and that small but absolutely critical 1% of white blood cells and platelets. And you've gotta love this analogy for the white blood cells. They're literally the soldiers of your body's army. They are constantly patrolling through your bloodstream, ready to seek out and destroy any harmful invaders like bacteria or viruses. All right, let's talk about muscular tissue. This is the engine that drives all of your movement. You have striated or skeletal muscle. That's the voluntary stuff you control, like when you decide to lift your arm. Then you have smooth muscle, which is involuntary. It works automatically, digesting your food without you even thinking about it. And finally, there's the amazing cardiac muscle, also involuntary and found in only one place, your heart. And last but not least, we have nervous tissue. Think of this as the body's high-speed communication network, the wiring. It's made of these incredible cells called neurons, and they transmit nerve impulses, electrical signals, at lightning speed. This is what allows your brain to control your body, process everything you see and hear, and even form memories. So, we've seen all these different types of tissues in both plants and animals, right? But the real magic, the truly incredible part, is that none of them work alone. They all work together, in harmony, like a perfectly coordinated team. So let's just pull back and look at the whole picture one more time. In plants, you've got the two main branches, meristematic for growth and permanent for specialized jobs. And in animals, you've got the big four: epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous. This right here, this is basically the fundamental blueprint for building all complex life on Earth. And when you get right down to it, this is what it's all about. The evolution of specialized tissues was the game changer. It was the key innovation that allowed life to go from just being simple single-celled organisms to, well, everything else. This division of labor is what allows for the incredible, mind-boggling complexity and diversity of life we see all around us. And that leaves us with one final, pretty deep thought to chew on. If tissues really are these highly organized, specialized teams of cells, what kind of team instructions do you think they need to follow to work together so perfectly to build and maintain an entire organism without a single flaw, day in and day out?